Alright, what's up everyone? We're live here and we are going to be starting our second Quadcast series. For today's episode, we're going to be discussing how you can improve your skill in pretty much any rhythm game, be it DDR, Pump It Up, or ITG. For today, I also will be talking with Justin, aka JJK.
That's me.
It's a tongue twister, man. Aka JJK. Yeah, we're here and we're gonna be discussing things for about an hour and a half tops. I would say it's usually we try to keep it within an hour to an hour and a half. We don't want it to be super short, and we also don't want it to be super long, so that people complain when we put it on YouTube and feel like it's too long of a video to watch. But there's a lot of cover, so let's just get into it. Just remember that if you're here, we are live for a reason. You can discuss anything you want, even if it's not related to the specific topic we're on. If you have a question, you can ask it, and you can just interact with both of us. If you have a question directed towards me specifically or Justin, you can direct it to us, or if it's a general question, just interact with us. That's why we're here. This is not YouTube. This is Twitch for a reason. Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right, well, it's a very common thing that I am asked is people ask me what they can do to improve their skill in usually ITG, but again, this can be applied to pretty much any of the rhythm games. I would say
you should get an air conditioning unit.
That's pretty important, I would say, because you don't want to have a heat stroke. But in regards to your actual skill, I would say that there's a few important things. I don't really think I took enough time to think about what would be like the number one, but I can give you a good guide of what you should be practicing. Number one that comes off the top of my head would be your form. If you are suffering from putting your feet out too far, not playing on the inside of panels, you're going to suffer a lot from being tired. You're going to lose a lot of energy, and it's a very common thing I see people do. Even people who are slightly better than the norm, and they can, say for ITG, they can pass 15s, maybe 16s tops. I see their form. I see that they go out a lot further than normal, specifically on the up arrow and down arrow. They seem to have the left and right covered pretty well. I think those are the easiest ones to cover, but ups and downs, they go too far up and too far back. I think they're afraid of getting misses. That's the biggest thing. And it's kind of understandable because of their setup they have, or their location that they go play at may not be the best setup. So it's a very tricky thing to do. It's unfortunate, but you have to have access to well-maintained pads or be able to modify the pads. So that is one obstacle you're going to have to overcome. Another thing that I would say is that it's pretty important to play often. This doesn't mean 6 hours a day, 5 times a week. It's ridiculous. It's a very physically demanding game. All of them are, especially ITG with all these stamina charts that have been coming out. If you want to be able to improve your stamina, you're going to have to grind stamina charts out. If you want to improve your foot speed, you have to grind out the foot speed charts, and FA is the same thing, grind out the FA charts. That's the other thing too, is that there's so many different categories, and when someone says, how do I get better? I ask them first, how define better? Like, what do you want to improve on? What are you struggling with? Do you want to be an FA player? Do you want to be a foot speed or stamina? Do you want to be well-rounded? It's very hard to generalize it, so you kind of have to break it down in multiple sections.
I have a question. In general, what do you see people are trying to improve at the most?
Stamina. Always. I think once or twice. I just kind of exaggerated. I can really count with one hand how many times people have come to me and say, how do I improve my FA? It's a very small number.
Mind as much as stamina.
For some reason, people want to improve their stamina over their FA. I think it's just because of the thrill of being able to pass hard stuff.
It is thrilling.
In any game, be it DDR, Pump It Up, or ITG, it's always the same. How do I pass harder stuff? The problem with this mindset of just wanting to pass harder stuff is that when you're passing all this hard stuff and you're not working on your timing, if you go in a tournament and you're trying to beat a player, now this can range depending on the tournament you're in, because there are some tournaments that don't care about timing. That's a whole different thing. But if there is, you're a really good player at stamina. You can pass, say, 18s, 19s, but the moment someone gives you a 10, you're going to lose because you're not skilled in FA, and some person who can't even pass 15s beats you, and you're wondering why. It's because stamina isn't everything, neither is foot speed, and even with FA, like FA will get you further in regards of, or in the sense of tournament play, and I think in general, but you know, it's not everything either. Like it's a balance between all the three. I call it the Holy Trinity.
You got
I'll
remember that.
FA, foot speed, and stamina.
Foot speed and stamina.
Those are
What do
the
you think
three.
is the hardest one of the three to improve on?
I think that depends, or I think it varies on individual people. For me personally, it's foot speed, because I have to play foot speed consistently in order to maintain it. If I take a break, then it goes away, and I have
It
to
is for me
rebuild
too.
it.
That has been the biggest challenge for me in my progression, is just advancing that foot speed and being mindful of my form and just knowing that I need to tighten up. I'm going to be able to do 200 plus.
It's very hard to maintain, but the best way to maintain foot speed is to play foot speed, and you have to keep playing faster stuff. And when you play faster stuff like 260 BPM, go down to 200, and 200 will feel like it's nothing in that moment. And keep doing that, and just keep working on your form. The faster you go, the tighter your form has to be, but that also comes with, like I said earlier, better pads, well-maintained pads, because bad pads that are not maintained well enough, that are undersensitive, you're going to get misses and whatnot, and that's just not fun.
It's unfortunate that not everybody has access to good pads, but yeah, we should clarify that this is all this advice is being given under the assumption that you have access to well-maintained and mostly customizable pads that you can mod to your liking.
Yep. If you don't have that, it's unfortunate, but you I would say quickly invest into some sort of pad, whether it's Brittany's pads that are coming out, or Kyle Ward's pads, or any
An arcade machine
at-home
even.
pads. Yeah, arcade machines too. Anything that you can afford, get it. You have the full ability and freedom to modify them to your liking. That's the best part about it. Yes, it's an investment and it is expensive, but it's worth it if you're very passionate about these games and you're looking to improve your gameplay. And it saves you money in the long run. You know, going to the arcade is expensive. We talked about that in our last episode. I think...
I have a question for you on top of that. What do you think is the most important mod that people need to keep in mind when they're modifying their pads with improvement in mind for their overall game?
So there's many ways that people modify pads. That's a tricky one. Everyone that I talk to has all their different preferences, but the most widely known way of modding is with the foam tape on top of the L brackets that are right above the sensor, and then with layers of duct tape on top of that. Some people use those little like arcade, what do you call those? Not tokens, tickets, arcade tickets. Yeah, they'll put
I've heard of that too, yeah.
Stack of those under the brackets. Some people will, what we do is we cut the little pieces of duct tape and put them on the corner of the brackets so that it's almost like each sensor is two sensors. Mainly this benefits the up arrow, because the up arrow has the one sensor by your toe, and you want that sucker to be very sensitive, because it's such a hard arrow to hit when you're conserving, because you're prone to getting misses because you're hitting with less pressure, because only your toes are hitting, not your heel. So what we do is we take the duct tape, and instead of putting one layer all the way across the bracket, we take just a tiny bit of the duct tape and put it on each side of one bracket, one on the left side, one on the right side, and we stack it up to our liking until we hit a spot where, okay, this is good. If you start getting misses, try to identify what foot you're getting misses on specifically. If it's, say, your left foot, then you need to raise the left side of the tape only. Because if you have one layer of tape, then you don't have the flexibility of just taking off tape on one side. That's why we cut it and put little pieces on opposite sides.
I had always wondered why that practice of putting two different sets of tape on sensors was done, and that makes total sense now. I'd always wondered that.
Yep, it gives you a lot more freedom. And the other
That's
thing,
insightful.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Actually, Brand showed me that one. He gave me the information. I was wondering, like, how do you avoid misses on the up arrow? And he was saying it's just, it's something that everyone deals with. It's very annoying. There's no perfect mod, but here's what I do. And then I shared that with a lot of my friends. That was very helpful because I had no idea how that stuff worked. But so that's how I found out about that. And then also, I showed you this, Justin, but the foam tape going on the side of the metal frame around the square inside the panel behind the bracket on the wall of it. There's a thin piece of metal. You want to put some foam tape across that. What I do, before I did it on all 3 corners except the inner corner. So there's 4 corners.
I remember that. That's how I modded mine as well, with that instruction in mind. Have you changed it since?
No, I have not. So the only difference thing that I did was there's 4 corners, right? And I said don't do the inner.
Yes.
The problem that I had with doing 3 corners, the back one, the left, and the right one on each square, is I had a hard time not damaging the tape because it was such a compressed, tight squeeze. So what I did is I either put on one on the left or one on the right, one or the other only, and then one on the back end. That's it. Okay. And that's tight enough. And then when you do this, if you try wiggling around the panel, it won't move anymore.
That's what I like.
If it wiggles around, you're prone to getting, what do you call it? Way offs, decents, misses, greats, anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, misses is kind of a bad example just because you're straight up not hitting it. That's just from undersensitivity. You're sorry about that. You're prone to getting greats, decents, way offs from over triggering because the sensor's too sensitive. So when you hold the panel down with that foam tape method, it prevents over triggering because of the vibration. It keeps the panels firm and tight and stays in place, and this allows you to use more sensitive sensors because now you're not over triggering, which means you can conserve more. That's why it's a good method.
That makes total sense.
So yeah, modding is a huge role into getting better. It's the smallest bit of the both, I would say, because you can mod your pads perfectly, but you yourself as a player can lack the skill. You need to get the skill
experience.
First. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a much bigger thing that matters. So just keep playing and don't just play to play. Play stuff that is out of your comfort zone. That's another good pointer right there. People tend to play stuff that they're used to and comfortable with, and they don't really push themselves, whether it's FA stuff, stamina, or foot speed stuff. It is fun to play in your comfort zone, and in the end you want to enjoy the game, so don't always push yourself. If you're not feeling it, don't worry about it. Just play casually for that day or whatever. Sometimes that happens. You're not going to perform at the best of your abilities every time you walk up on a pad.
How often does that happen to you?
That happens to me, well, because of all this heat, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah,
that's one
sure.
big thing. So yeah, temperatures and humidity is a big thing. If that's not an issue, I have bad days probably, I would say once every other week or so. Maybe twice in a week on like a really bad week. It would probably happen where it's just like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm doing worse. Like I'm just not getting anywhere. So people have to acknowledge that that's going to happen. You're a human being. Like you're not going to perform perfectly. Like if you don't eat right, if you don't play in a good temperature environment, if it's really humidified or really hot or even really cold.
It seems that you realized this recently with some of your recent, some of your streams that you've.
Oh yeah. All this stuff I've discovered recently. I mean, we're all getting older too, so that's a big thing. When I'm getting older, my body's going to be more sensitive to this stuff.
I keep that in mind a lot, and I wonder how much of a factor age plays in dance game skill.
It has a good factor, and I mean, people will argue, well, Mad Matt's in his 30s and he's still doing great, and that's true, but that's just one person out of the whole entire community, and we don't know what he eats, how well he takes care of himself, and I would assume he takes very good care of himself to be able to do that kind of stuff. I highly doubt he's going to McDonald's every day. I
don't know. Some of the top players do that.
Yeah, some of them do it. Back in the day, they did at least. I remember watching videos or talking to them. They're like, yeah, I had McDonald's before, and I got 99.80 on Dragon Force songs back to back.
I feel awful if I have McDonald's in me before I do anything.
Yeah, Alex is the same way. She's very sensitive to fast food like that. I mean, for me, it's energy. I mean, food's food.
Yeah, I can understand that.
there's a limit to it. You know, eating Taco Bell and then playing is a bad idea.
Last night I had slushies while I was playing, and that actually helped me out a lot. Just some kind of fruit beverage.
That keeps your body cool.
Yeah.
You know? There's actually some people who will like drink Slurpees or like those Otter Pops to like keep their inside body temp cooler.
That makes a lot of sense. I should try that.
Yeah, it helps a lot. But yeah, with that whole experience of the speedrunning thing, that was bad, man. Like, I mean, this is drifting into like a safety reason, but like it kind of has to do with skill in a way. I mean, sort of. It's kind of weird, but
I do think that you were in very dangerous territory with what you were trying to do that day.
Oh yeah, it was fun. Like
it was fun to watch. Yes.
Yeah, I was dying. Like it was crazy.
How did you feel the next day?
The next day I felt way better. It was good. After I streamed. After I streamed, I went upstairs in my room and was screaming and crying naked on my bed.
That's quite a visual.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine a naked penguin on a bed screaming and crying.
My God.
Yeah. Like, it was bad, dude. I've never yelled that loud, I don't think, in my life.
I don't know. I've heard you yell a lot before while playing.
There's nothing, dude.
Nothing compared to what you had that day?
Yelling while playing, that's a totally different thing. Like, these are, like, actual, like, genuine screams of pain. Like, full on. Like, I felt like, I don't know, man. Like, my leg had bulges of, like, outlined bulges of, like, muscles cramping that were popping out of my skin.
That is horrifying.
All over the place. Yeah, it was bad. Like, I was just like when I was on the stream before I finished, I was like, yeah, guys, I'm fine. See you guys next time. And I turn it off and I was screaming, fuck.
Life-changing moment as soon as you go offline.
Yeah, it was. It was really awkward too because Alex had some visitors over that I didn't know all that well.
This is getting even better.
They just hear me screaming. That was fun though. That was a very memorable event, to say the least.
I want to see you attempt that again.
I'm going to. What I'm gonna do one of these days is I have to go look at the VOD and watch it and kind of scan through it and write down which songs are being music rated at what speed, and I actually completed them because sometimes I did fail and I had to slow them down. And I'll play them all in order of like, okay, 1.7 songs, play those first, then go to 1.6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and so on, so that I don't waste time going in the menu changing the music rate. It wastes a lot of time.
I think you would have had a better time if you had done a lot less music rating.
Well, at that moment, yes, but the whole point is to do stuff as fast as possible, and because I didn't eat all that well and didn't eat even during it, according to Alex, you should be eating during it so that you can fuel your body, because apparently only up to 2 hours you can like your body can get benefit out of what you're eating. After that, it needs more, from what I heard. Very weird, but she says when she does marathons, she eats while running some type of thing to give her fuel, because you'll hit a wall. And I mean, I believe her because I've hit a wall twice now, both in the 4-hour run and in the speed run.
What do you think is the preferred food to eat for fuel in moments like that?
I mean, definitely not as knowledgeable as you, I would say, but I would, based off what I've eaten, I think pasta is the best, along with chicken or some type of heavy protein. I mean, red meat's good too.
Pasta's good, but I don't think, like, if you're in the middle of a marathon, I don't think
in the middle.
Yeah, like if you're in the middle of an attempt and your attempt has gone over 2 hours, in situations like that, I would vote towards granola bars.
Yeah, something like some type of health bar or like protein shake or something, dude. Like something like that, because you can use protein shakes, or just there's certain shakes that can replace meals. Roberto talked to me about this, so it would definitely be something like that. I just don't know what exactly, so I can't recommend it, but I definitely.
That's something I would like to find out.
Roberto would know, honestly. You can talk to him. He's all about that health stuff. I know you're into it too, to some extent. Usually with like what you eat normally, but replacing meals, I'm not sure myself. Alex would know too. But yeah, so food's a big factor too. I mean,
no question.
If you're younger, you can get away with it, but I mean,
I've noticed that for sure.
You're gonna hit. Yeah, I mean, I did the 4-hour marathon when it first came out. I think that was in Christmas time of 2011 is what I thought it was 2009 or 8. No, it's not 8. 2009 or 10, around the first time I got my machine. I thought that's when it happened, but my memory does not serve me well, clearly. It came out, I think, in 2011, and it was around December. Because I checked back on a video I had where I did, because the guy that made those released 3 of them. He released a 10-minute one, I think, and a 30-minute one, and then he did the 4-hour one. They all came out at the same time. And on my YouTube, I have the video, the 10-minute and 30-minute one. So before that was, how old was I? That's 6 years ago. So I was around 20.
You're 20, right? Yeah.
Yeah, around 20 years old. So 6 years later, the experience that I had when I passed that when I was 20 is nowhere near the same of when I attempted to do it and got 2.5 hours in when I'm 26. So 6 years later, in my 20s, that just shows you like how much of a difference it can make with what you do with yourself. I mean, also, like I said, I was in very hot weather. I think on that day it was 95 degrees outside. That garage was probably even hotter.
It was.
All in a boxed room. Disgusting, man. So again, weather is a huge factor. Like, I had no oxygen. I couldn't breathe at all.
Yeah, definitely get that fixed up before you attempt it again.
Yeah, any big
or
challenges.
try during the winter.
The winter. Any big challenges, I'm going to be waiting. I'll hold off on them until we get some sort of AC unit in there, because it's just not going to happen. So we covered... What did we cover, Justin? What have we gone over so far?
We covered the 3-headed monster that you came up with, the FA, stamina, and foot speed being the 3 things to improve on as a player. And for people that want to get better, they should ask themselves which of those 3, or maybe all of them, are they most trying to get better at when they seek help.
Right, and Pyro here says that he doesn't know if this hobby is sustainable with age. That's been something on his mind. I mean,
I think it's on all of our minds.
Yeah, we've been playing this game for so long. I mean, honestly, I don't plan on calling it quits until I'm in my 40s, I would say. I mean,
I would like to go past that. I'm aware that maybe skill would wane with age the further
definitely
I go.
Wane. Yeah, it would definitely wane with the age. I just think, I don't know when I can tell you guys that the skill cap will start dropping.
I think these games are so new that there's really not enough data to see how people progress. For those that take it seriously for the majority of their lifetimes, as I think we are planning to do.
Our best bet for now is to watch Mad Matt, just because he's ahead of us with age, and see how he's maintaining it.
He's ahead of a lot of us with foot speed too.
Yeah. So I mean, for now, it seems like 30s, it's doable at the best of the best for speed and stamina. So that's good news. I mean, I would have guessed like late 30s, early 40s possibly, and then maybe at that point you'll start seeing a decline in skill. Maybe maybe it varies per person. I mean, I see people run marathons that are old. Like, it's insane to me. Like, old people are running, like, what is that? What's a marathon? Over 25 miles or 25 miles?
26.1, is it right?
26.1? Dude, that's insane. I've seen, like, I think 70-year-olds or late 60-year-olds running. This is insane.
What kind of time is considered good for a marathon? I know that's a very broad question, and it depends on who you are and where you are in life, but...
Well, Alex did one in 4 hours and something.
4 hours.
I think that's
really impressive.
It's pretty nuts. So yeah, age is definitely a factor too, but most of the time when people ask me how they think, or how they ask me how can they improve, it's usually youngsters. Even newcomers are coming in. I've got 15-year-olds that are coming to me saying like, hey, I'm somewhat new. How do I get better?
I've been seeing a lot of new players lately. I was playing ITG at Sappy's house last night, and there were some teenagers amongst us. There were like those in their 20s, those in their 30s, and also some teenagers just all getting together and playing ITG. I thought that was a really cool experience.
That's cool. It's good to see that, you know? Mm-hmm. That's the benefit of having machines at home. You can invite newcomers over. That's the other thing. I mean, if you know somebody who lives near you that's pretty good, play with them, and it will help you a huge amount, because as long as they're willing to teach you and they're not, prideful or anything, aren't willing to help you. Usually people are. I haven't run into that myself. You will get better really fast. Really, really fast. It helps a lot. But
I wish I had more people to play with around me in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah, like out here we have nobody in the neighborhood. Like, I mean, people come by and see it and they're like, "Oh, that's cool," and then they walk away.
At least you have your roommates, though.
Yeah, it's true. Um, what else was I gonna say? So back to the original point was, if you're looking to get better, you got to factor in all those things like we just discussed: your age, your food you're eating, how physically fit you are in general. Just, take care of yourself. The modification of pads, access to being able to modify them to make them sensitive enough to conserving more, having good form is very key, because the better you can conserve and actually hit the notes and not get misses from conserving too much, the better you will be with stamina, because you're able to save more energy. Now with DDR, that's kind of tricky, I've noticed, because those pads are just not built for ITG style,
What is the difference? I've always thought that they're pretty similar, but the issue comes with being unable to mod a public cabinet.
It's just, I've modded pads before. This is with Ace cabinets, mind you.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind also.
With upgrades, I mean, people countersync them and everything, and maybe there's a way to do this with Ace pads, but there's just something about them. I can't tell you what it is. I don't know, but it's just weird, because I've had access to modifying Ace pads fully. Like, I mean, taking out the big bolts all around, removing the brackets, lifting them up with tape, and it still did not feel right. There's just something about it. It's very strange. It feels like you can't move. I don't know what they did. Maybe Konami put some type of like kryptonite for me or something.
Sounds that way on every song except for Nageki.
Yeah, and a couple other ones. What are the other ones? There's like Healing Division and Paranoid Revolution 18. There's a couple of songs. Like, I know that it comes with playing a lot, because DDR is different. You do have to move more in DDR. You can try to conserve, but then your timing's going to go down the drain, and the whole point of dancing games is to time, and DDR screams that at you with their very strict timing windows. ITG could be a little bit different. People can argue, well, it's not just about timing, and it varies per person, and that's fair, because most people nowadays are doing the stamina and foot speed kind of stuff. But just remember, these are rhythm games. It's about having rhythm. So I think that people disregard FA too much, and again, it's fine if people don't want to FA. Some people are perfectly happy with skipping over it, but I can tell you, if you work hard on your FA and improve it, you're gonna see improvement on your stamina too, and you'll see improvement as an all-around player. And I encourage people to be an all-around player and not just be stuck to just FA or stuck to just stamina, because then it makes you a weaker player. If you're looking to get better, you need to cover all three. Remember the Holy Trinity. It's very true. It's true, man. It's true. Like, I see it.
You called it the Holy Trinity. I called it the three-headed monster.
It's true. People skip over. That's the biggest problem I see with people. They don't want to work on FA. They all say it's annoying. I understand it's annoying, but it's part of the game, and you trying to get around that and remove it, it's just going to hinder your play style and your skill. It's so weird to me, man. Like, I watch people play and they pass in 18s and 19s, but then you give them an official 10 like Oasis and they get like a 80% on it, and it's like, how do you have a higher score on an 18? It's very weird to me.
Oasis, that's a tough one.
Yes, it's very tough, and that's the whole point. Is it's a challenge. It's challenging you to actually focus and know how to get around crossovers and long holds and just tricky stuff. I mean, officials they're all old, they're all outdated. I get it. I hate officials just as much as the other guy. But
I'm starting to not even hate them that much anymore. They really teach you stuff that comes in handy for ITG at large.
They do. That's why I was going to say is, I hate them personally. I think they're really dumb, but they teach people the fundamentals of rhythm games. Tricky patterns, tricky rhythms, uncomfortable gimmicks, slowdowns, stops, speed ups. It's got everything. and people try to dodge it. And I think that's a big problem in the community, is people try to dodge technical stuff, and they're not a fan of it.
So I had an idea today to that point. I think people often try to dodge crossovers. And I know that I certainly have for a lot of my playing days.
Oh yeah.
And as I was playing Funk Factory, trying to get my score on it to something respectable earlier today, I was wondering if perhaps learning foot speed on crossovers can do a lot to help your overall game as well, because I think that it teaches a lot about good form that you would miss out on if you're always playing more straightforward things.
You're saying you're asking if you play foot speed that has crossovers, if it will help with your...
Or if you just train crossovers in general, if that will help your overall form for straightforward things. I think it does.
If you can conserve while doing it, yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is especially true with Pump It Up. And then DDRB next in line, because crossovers and ITG not so much exist, but they're there. But it's not the primary focus. I'm sure you already know that. Yeah. But Pump It Up, big one. You have to try to save energy in all possible ways. There are times where it's okay to cheat crossovers. You have to know the chart, though. Like, you kind of have... I can't say... if I was to make a blanket statement and say, yes, cheat crossovers, then people are going to be like, okay, I'm just not going to do them. There are times where you have to do crossovers, and it varies from chart to chart, literally. So I can't generalize it. I have to pinpoint particular things. So Justin, do you have a particular chart?
Funk Factory.
Funk Factory. Okay. So yes, if you guys are not familiar with Funk Factory, check it out on YouTube. It's just put Funk Factory Expert 9 in the group.
ITG official from ITG2.
Yeah. It's got some freeze arrows on the chorus twice, one near the middle, one near the end, where it makes you hold the freezes while turning very awkwardly, like almost a 180 turn on some of them. And I would say you can cheat some of them, but there are other ones where if you're trying to FA, mind you, like I'm not saying this in the mindset of conserving for now. We're talking about FAing. And it always varies per player. You're not going to do as well if you cheat, perhaps, because you're cheating and you're not able to time it properly. So maybe start out with crossing them over. Learn how to cross over. You got to learn how to read crossovers before you cheat crossovers. Also, hello, Cyborg. Thanks for tuning in, man.
Hello, Cyborg.
I think you got to learn crossovers before you cheat them, like I said. Like, that's a big thing. So follow them first. Do them first. Once you know how to do them for a particular chart, learn how to conserve more. Don't stretch out all the way.
That's where I'm at right now. I stretch out way too far.
A chart like Funk Factory is a good example of like, hey, don't stretch out too far. It just comes through practice, man. Like a chart that stands out to me. Okay, everybody asks me this all the time, Justin. I think you actually have asked me before. When I did Paranoid Revolution, the 18, do you remember in the slowdown before it speeds up how it has that really weird crossover?
Yeah.
It's like a right up, right? The arrow is right and then up. This is a 16th run.
Yeah, and you need to start that right with your left foot.
Yes.
The way I do it is I added a step during the little 8th note bit before it, just to get me into position. But there's multiple ways to attack that.
This is exactly what I was gonna say. Is people can do this differently, and people, like, another thing, if they're not talking about me, they'll watch Happyf333tz, for example. He's another big name in the community of rhythm games. People watch him, and they're like, well, look how he did this chart. Like, he did this. He cheated it by crossing it over. It's like, that's Happyf333tz, though. Like, he's a different person. He's a good player. He understands how to cheat certain things, certain ways, and it works for him. And then if you jump to me and say I tried the same song, I might tackle it and approach it differently because I'm me and I have my style and I have my ways of approaching things, and if it works for me, it works for me. It's going to be different per person. Eventually you're going to run into people that have the same method because there's only so many things you can do, right? So with this chart in particular, I think Happyf333tz actually does it. I think he uses his left foot on the right arrow and then uses his right foot on the up and goes into it from there. For me, I cheat it. I do right foot on right and then left foot on up. So I do like a hop. I go 1, 2, and then your up goes to left, I think, right? And then you're back into facing forward regularly. So you're gonna go right, up, left. And you kind of do like this hop, and that's how I seed it. That was the only way I was able to do it. because if I tried it otherwise, I kept getting misses, and that's for me. That's just like a wall I ran into, and that's how I worked around it. So sometimes cheating crossovers is okay, but you got to know how to do it, and I had to learn how to do that. Justin, you said that you do it like legit.
I do it legit. The faster the song goes, the more likely I am to do crossovers legit, because I think high-speed double stepping is just way too difficult to be consistent on.
Yeah. Let's think of another example here. Okay, so like, here's an example of you're very unlikely to be able to cheat it unless you are a god at. I don't think there's anyone in the world that can do this. Healing Division, the very end, the last run. There's a ton of different turns in that last run there, right? And imagine someone trying to just bracket that and MFC it. Like, that's not going to happen, right?
I'd be shocked to see that happen.
There's no way. Racer says that he thinks Fem cheats it too. You have to recheck the old video. I mean, I could be wrong, but there are some people that will do that Paranoia Revolution run in the slowdown legit by turning, and others will cheat it like myself. And it works for me. It may not work for Fems. Maybe he prefers to cheat it, but it ranges from player to player. So anyway, on the Healing Division, those are some turns that you're going to have to learn. Like, those are like one of the worst type of patterns where it just makes you turn right, then left, then right, then left, and you're just crossing over back and forth at 180 BPM. That really helps with your form. If you watch my video of the Healing Division, PFC, you'll see the form of what I'm talking about, where it's just very tight. I mean, yeah, I'm moving a lot. You have to move, but it's a balance. It's like a balance of just you're moving a lot, but you're conserving while moving. You have to haul, but not so much. It's really weird. It's like you're finding.
You keep your feet close together as you're doing that?
Yeah, I try to.
I've always noticed that in that video.
Yeah, you can see I'm conserving, and I'm very tight form. And as I'm turning. You can see me turning really hard. You have to know how to pivot with your upper body. Upper body strength is another role that plays really big in these games because you're holding all your weight up, as you're playing these games. Your arm strength is very key. It's very common that people say their arms hurt more than their feet.
I've noticed that a lot, and I think the only reason why I don't is because I lift weights.
Hey, man, yeah, if you can lift weights, do it. It helps. It hurts my arms more than it hurts my feet. I don't feel pain in my feet or my legs.
I feel pain in my feet right now.
Really?
Yeah, from yesterday, from all the playing I was doing.
Man. Well,
I think I'll just toughen up the more I play, because I haven't been playing regularly enough lately. And I think my feet just need to get used to it.
Yeah. Cyborg says, isn't it just to play more? If only. That is a huge thing.
If only it was that easy.
Yeah, there's more to it, because I know people that have been playing dancing games, man, for 12 years, and they have not gotten anywhere. They've just been stuck. I know many people like that, and I can tell you the number one thing that is doing it is they aren't pushing at all. They just go to play and play for fun, and that's fine. Some people don't play these games seriously, but if you're that type of person that's been playing that long and you're asking me, hey, how do I get better? That's your number one problem. You got to play outside of your comfort zone. You have to push. You can't quit early. If you're going to you shouldn't quit, really. I was going to say, if you're going to quit when you're tired, but even then, keep pushing. I like it. I want to see, if I have someone ask me for help, I want to see them lose their life bar, not because they straight up stopped, but because they were pushing, but their life bar was progressively getting lower and lower until it failed. That's when you know they're pushing.
Yeah, never quit.
Yes, never quit. And I know I'm very guilty of this because I always try to quad stuff, and if I get it excellent, I walk off all the time.
I think that's a little bit more understandable. Like, if you're grinding for a perfect score on something, like if you want to quad one song, and you know that you can get through the stamina aspect of it easily, I don't really see much wrong with quitting out as soon as you get an excellent, for instance.
Right. It's just different skill level of okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I'm trying to do versus this another person saying I'm just trying to pass it. It's very different. What else, Justin? What else are we gonna cover here? What are some other things?
When are you gonna be able to play again?
I played last night.
You played last night? Were you on stream?
No. So it's just too hot, man. I'm trying to grind it out as much as I can at night. Like, I played Pump It Up last night. I was playing pretty hard. But it's just too hot to play. I got to get that AC unit. I actually returned 2 pairs of shoes. I was trying to find some shoes for Pump, and I tried them out. I got some actually fairly expensive ones. They were like $120. They were, I don't know how to pronounce their name. I think it's Vibrams.
Vibrams, I haven't heard of them. Can you post the link in the chat?
Yes, I can. Let me go look that up for you. They're going to look very funky, so bear with me. They're very interesting looking shoes. But I got these shoes, and I tried them out, and they are definitely not for dancing games, I can tell you that much.
Now I want to see them.
They, your toe basically can stretch out past the sole. Like, my toe, my big toe stretched past the sole of the shoe
intense.
and touched the panel. Like, that's how bad they are. All right, there you go. Check out these shoes, guys. Pretty wonky.
They look like space shoes that an alien race would wear.
They're interesting looking. They were cool to walk around in, but yeah, they're definitely not for dancing games, and they were $120. So I got them, and then I didn't like them. I sent them back. And, oh, hey, Saji Noodle? What's up, man? Thanks for joining the Penguin Squad. So I tried them out, didn't like them, sent them back, and I was saying this because now I've got about $130 in Amazon credit, and I want to use that to contribute towards an AC unit. So we're trying to work it out and make something happen so that we can keep that garage cool, because it benefits everybody. Everyone that plays is complaining about the heat or isn't playing because of the heat.
Yeah,
And
for those that don't watch that are not from Southern California, our summer has just been, well, it does this every year, but it's pretty common to have over 100-degree days in Southern California, and that's no bueno for DDR and ITG playing.
Yeah, it's bad, guys. Like, when I was doing that speed run, I almost blacked out because of lack of oxygen in the garage, and it sucked. So definitely have to deal with it. So I think that's what the money I have on my Amazon is going to go towards, and we also have gotten donations just here, physically here. We have the donation jar here from people come over to contribute towards the utilities, since people come over and play all the time on these cabinets. So that as well is going to go towards it. So we got nearly $200 to put towards an AC unit just from my end. So that's really good. And also from people helping out that come over and contribute. So big thank you to them. Cyborg says, so have you ever had leg injury because of the game, which does not allow you to play? No, I've never had leg injury. The worst thing that's happened to me was when I had those leg muscle spasms and cramps and Charlie horses. That was the worst thing. And then after doing some methods that Alex provided to me, all that went away within 2 hours. And when I woke up, I was able to walk. I couldn't walk after that stream, guys. Like, I literally could not walk. If I walked, I would fall to the floor.
It's interesting. The worst dancing game injury that I've had was actually what I got last night. I have a really badly bruised heel right now, and I've been thinking about it throughout the day, trying to understand what exactly caused it and how I can try to avoid that in the future.
Yeah. So what happened exactly? Sorry.
I was just playing last night, and then about an hour into my session, I started feeling a sharp pain in my left heel, mostly when I would put pressure on it. And as my ITG set went on, I eventually didn't feel good putting any sort of weight at all, and I would just kind of step on the ball of my foot with my left foot. And eventually I just called it quits for the night, and now this morning I have a pretty nasty bruise on there. And it's interesting because that's never happened to me before in all the years I've been playing.
You played barefoot?
No, I was playing in socks and fit kicks.
Interesting. I've never experienced bruise on my feet before.
Neither had I.
Has anybody in the chat experienced that kind of thing? I've never come across that before. It's interesting.
I'll be fine though.
I'm sure whenever you guys get injuries or something, you just have to take it slow and don't keep pushing and playing, you know. That's a big no-no. So like after that speed run I did, I immediately took a break. You can't play. It's just that would just hurt yourself more.
Did you do anything for the rest of the day?
The next day, or you mean like on that day?
Or on that same day.
On that same day, I went straight upstairs, took a salt bath, and then I laid in bed, and Alex brought me some pasta and Gatorade and large handfuls of just pure salt, and I ate it.
What a day.
And I slept like a puppy.
Oh, I bet you did.
I was gone. Razor says definitely should get that checked out, perhaps. Oh, the bruise.
Yeah. Of course, I'm going to be watching it and just tending to it. I think I'll be fine. I think it's just a normal bruise that'll heal in.
Yeah, I'm sure it is a normal bruise. So what else are we missing out here on ways to improve? We covered a good amount of stuff. I'm just, at this point, it's smaller details.
It is. I think we had a lot of insight today.
Yeah, definitely.
I know I learned stuff.
I mean, if you're in here and you're someone who is looking to improve, I'll give you a challenge. Go fill out your group stats.
That's what I'm doing right now.
All officials. Fill
and
it
I didn't
out.
actually know until recently that there's actually still kind of a group stats community. I see people still updating scores to this day.
Yep, that's good. You know, and I know a lot of people are going to be rolling their eyes and saying, like, this is awful, like, I don't want to do this.
I did at one point.
Just do it. It's going to suck. It's not going to be fun. Maybe it will be down the road. I don't know. But
I had fun with it, actually. I like playing all the old officials and putting in my quad scores when I get them.
The reason I got where I am today is because of officials. People know me as, you know, the person who quads stuff. How did I get to that level? I grinded out the game, of course, but I started with officials. They taught me all the fundamentals, crossovers, all the stuff I said earlier. Like, it teaches you technique. They're really bad charts. They're not well made. I'm gonna say that now. They're horribly made. It's not because there's crossovers. It's not because of that. Nothing like that. It's just the way that they're patterned and stuff. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, Kyle Ward and Chris Foy. I'm so sorry, and anyone else that contributed. Well, it's from 2000. What, 2006?
5 and 6, yeah.
Yeah, 5 and 6. Like, it's not all their fault. It's old, outdated stuff. I'm guilty of making horrible charts too. Like, even to this day, I'll make bad charts and look back and be like, what was I fucking thinking? Like, this is awful. People make bad charts, like, and especially way back then, we didn't know any better. But
I recently found a sim file pack that I made from 2006, and I don't like any of the things that I put in there.
Yeah, if you guys want to see bad charts, go look at my old ones. They're somewhere on the internet. So for some reason, people still have them uploaded on random forums and websites, and I'm just like, no, don't show those. Those are so bad. But they're bad, and that's a good reason to go play them, because you want to expose yourself to worst case scenario charts, so that if you're playing these kind of stuff in tournaments, because tournaments have they have stuff that's similar to officials, but it's more well made and organized. Examples being Bimani Beats. Bimani Beats takes official style, but is improving it and properly stepping it, in my opinion. And they add in brackets and stuff like that. It's challenging stuff that makes you actually think and try to figure out how can you approach this, and it will make you a better player. I promise you, you will be a better player when you are finished filling out your group stats and you try to improve your scores after that. I promise you'll get better.
Cyborg Genius in the chat says that he has a huge freaking callus on his hand because of rhythm games.
Yeah, Cyborg he's an Osumania player.
Okay.
Mantooth, welcome, man. Thanks for the follow. So yeah, you've got a huge freaking callus. Is this word even exists on Google? He's doing Google Translate because he's from Russia.
Oh, I see. Welcome. Thank you for chatting with us.
Yeah, he's become a regular now. It's great.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I love him. So yeah, I've got calluses on my feet. Really nasty, big ones, very thick with 2 C's, like for real. Because I play barefoot.
That's pleasant to think about.
It's true, man. You should. I don't know if you've seen them, but if you saw them, you'd be like, "Good Lord, what is this?" Ryan took a photo and he put it on his phone. It's great.
Oh my gosh.
It's great, dude.
Yeah, I think I'll pass on that.
Oh, come on, man. You know you want to. One Osumania streamer, which I watched, played a lot, so he got some injury and couldn't play Osu for weeks. And first 3 days of injury, he couldn't even move his hand.
You know, it's cool. At Anime Expo, there was an Osu booth.
Yeah.
And I met the head producer of that game.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I talked to him a little bit about Music Game Hell and how he gets memed a lot. And he said that he's trying to improve the perception that his game currently has. I've actually never tried it. I don't see what the negative feedback is about.
Okay. So I'll tell you.
Okay, please do.
Give me 1 second. Let me get a sip of water here. My throat's really dry. Okay. So
Cyber Genius, what was the injury that he got?
I think it was on his hands.
Oh, on his hands.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cyborg. So people don't like Osu because they say it's not original content. They claim that all their stuff comes from Osu, bean songs and whatnot. They say the community is really bad, like really toxic, and that's all I know. I've asked the same thing, but from my perspective, when people say that stuff, I just look at them and say that's literally what ITG is. Like, none of it is original content. Osu is like Stepmania, and Stepmania is like ITG. It's all custom stuff. I don't really know why it's a big deal if it's not original content. I'm not there for being original, you know, Mr. OG. Like, I don't really see why that matters, but okay. Yeah. The community side, sure, that's fair enough. Like, we all know that, you know, every community is always going to have shitty people in it, but if it's overwhelmingly larger in Osu, then sure, okay, I understand that, I guess, but still, I mean, we have that problem with ITG. It's everywhere, even in Smash and fighting game communities. Like, it's always going to have people that are just toxic. Just stay away from those people. Block them, don't affiliate with them, stay away from them, and enjoy the game.
That's a good way to live your life, too.
Yes, it's very true.
That's too short to deal with negative people.
DDR is awesome, says, once I got a big blister on my big toe from my right foot, just from... You play barefoot, or was that just playing... What's that sound?
Oh.
Justin's just blasting music now on this. He's raiding us.
That was my mistake. I actually just started Osu up. I just intended to only download it as I was talking, and then it launched on me.
Yeah, I literally hear everything you're doing now. Racer says, definitely true to that. Best to keep the negatives out. See you next time.
And I'm back.
Justin's got Osu now.
My bad.
Osu is just more modern than other rhythm gamers, but it's technically worse. At least when it's unnecessary, of course. Just from playing with shoes. Oh, wow, DDR just from playing with shoes. That's nuts. Man. Yeah, I mean, that'll happen when you're grinding these songs out, and if you're moving around a lot more, too, you're very exposed to that kind of stuff. That'll definitely happen. So we covered crossovers. We covered foot speed, stamina. I think the hardest one to achieve, like, okay, so you know how I said foot speed? It's really FA because of, look at the percentages of, like, people who have FA versus people who have stamina and foot speed. Like, there's
drastically different.
Drastically different. I mean, I can't say FA is harder because I have it, and I feel like it's just almost like a part of it now. It's just like a standard. But when I look back at when I was first starting out, it was the hardest thing to get because it is so much grinding. It's like grinding out an RPG game. Like, you just have to play over and over and over again until you perfect whatever it is you're trying to do. And people don't like that. People don't like repetitiveness, and that's why people sway away from it. But that's what you have to do in order to maintain consistency and good timing. And yeah, just people don't like that. People want to stay away from it. But again, I'm challenging you guys. If you're in this chat, you're in this channel right now, you play ITG, fill out your groove stat officials of In the Groove 1 and 2 expert charts. And I challenge you to 99 all the 9s. And once you do that, 99 all the 10s. When you do that, 99 all the 11s. That is exactly what I did. That is how I got where I am today. That's where I started. That's when I first got my machine. I filled out my groove stats, and I worked on quadding all the 9s, then the 10s, and then so on. But I think eventually, like, before I quadded all the officials, I did hit walls. Like, there were certain 10s and 11s I didn't come back to because I was so frustrated from, like, back in 2009. And then it wasn't until 2016 where I came back and approached them because I just didn't care. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. I looked at that as a goal and a challenge, and I challenged myself to do something that was very hard.
That's where I'm at right now, and I'm wondering which officials gave you the hardest time besides the obvious ones like Euphoria and Vertex Squared.
Well,
the ones that you had trouble getting back to.
I'd say the hardest ones to getting back to was Blood Rush. That was annoying. Hardcore the North is very annoying. Go 60 Go is annoying. I don't remember if I got what's that called? Clockwork Genesis. That is annoying.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, Tell is annoying.
I see a common theme here.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Very annoying songs.
Very annoying songs.
You hear those songs, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know why you don't like those. Cyborg says, I'm playing Osumania because it's really easy to start and to play, but I know that is definitely worse than a lot of old and not famous rhythm games. Yeah, it's whatever, man. You play what you want. If you enjoy Osumania or Osu, just play it. It doesn't matter. Like, don't worry what people think about it. Like, people bag on ITG all the time in Music Game Hell, and you know, I understand it from their perspective, but in the end, it's a game that I enjoy, and I'm gonna play it. You know,
yeah, I mean, you heard me download it and run it by mistake just now. I definitely plan on giving it a first attempt later on today, and just seeing what all the hubbub is about. Because at the end of the day, I really like rhythm games, and I'll play almost any new one that comes my way.
Same. Been approaching DDR similarly in terms of accuracy. Started PFCing all the expert challenge chart 8s and worked my way up. Yeah, Racer, that's the way you got to do it.
That's my friend Kenny. Hello, Kenny. Thank you for tuning in with us.
Yeah, Kenny, that's the best way to do it. Start low. That's the other reason people don't like doing FA, because they have to do easier stuff. So, I understand, but again, if you want to get better, expose yourself to all the stuff you don't like. You have to do it if you want to improve. Like, I mean, for me right now, I say this a lot, but within the groove, I feel like I've done what I wanted to do with it. I'm happy where I'm at and what I've accomplished in the game. I don't plan on doing anything competitively really with it unless I have a challenge that comes up where it's like, oh, there's this song I want to quad. Let's go do that. No one's done it yet, and then I'll do it. And if I don't do it, I'll come back to it later. Now, my focus right now, my primary focus is pump it up. And I'm exposing myself to a ton of stuff that is just ridiculously hard. Like, it just makes ITG look like nothing. It's insane.
Noticed.
It's insane.
Well, you continue to have ITG streams?
Yeah, I've been streaming ITG here and there. We had one recently. I think today's Saturday, right? I'm way thrown off.
Today's Saturday.
Yeah, earlier this week we did ITG.
I was thrown off last night. I wasn't sure if it was Friday or not.
Yeah, I was just thrown off, man. This week.
What a week. This heat just messes with my mind.
Yeah, that's what it is. The heat's just killing me. Kenny says he got one on Cha 11. What's Cha 11? Challenge 11?
He has one Challenge 11 on DDR8 at PFC left.
Ah, okay.
And 8 left on 12. I understand his language.
Good. I'm not super familiar with DDR. Forgive me. That's good, man. Just keep doing it. And when you finish those 12s and 11, go to 13 and 14, then 15. That's the progress. The progress is that you're completing. It's like a quest, man, like an RPG. Like I said, you're 100%ing a game. You're just working your way up. Then once you get to the high level, you'll be able to do stuff on a whim. They'll release a new chart, and you'll be able to sit down and study it, and then go on the pad. And after a few attempts, you'll PFC it.
Cyborg says, I'm playing SM sometimes, and I see that it is better in some parts, but I can't even tune the options in-game, so it's hard to start. What do you mean by tune the options? What do you need help with? Maybe we could help you out.
Yeah, if you're having some trouble, man, you can just hop in on our Discord. We have a general chat and a bunch of other channels on our Discord. You can go down below. It's on the channel. Straight down below in the panel section, you'll see a Discord panel. Just click the link, and it's free to join. And you can discuss anything when we're offline. You don't always have to tune in live. It's always great that you do. We appreciate the support. But if we're not live and you got a question, you can definitely ask us on Discord. We're available whenever we are awake. So it's a big benefit. So definitely check that out. The other thing too is a lot of people seem to stick to one rhythm game, which is fine. But I tend to see people who are just they are sworn on DDR only, they're sworn on ITG only, or sworn on Pump It Up only. I always challenge people to jump into another game and try it, and try to get decent at it.
That's something I was going to ask you about. I was going to question, how much do you think that moving to another game can help your progression at the game that you're used to.
It can help a good amount and a lot more than people expect. And again, this is probably something that people at a higher level will argue against me for and probably say, no, it's completely different. Sure, they're completely different. Like, look at Pump It Up and In the Groove. They're totally different kind of games, right? Pump It Up encourages bracketing and cheating because of the large timing window it has. But what it will help you with, to some extent, is crossing over. And while In the Groove does lack it, I understand that. There are still charts that exist that push you to cross over. And it will also help you with your foot speed game because you're moving a lot more on Pump It Up. I am saying this based off personal experience. When I did my 24-hour stream of last month, I was playing Pump It Up a lot. And that I didn't jump on In the Groove until that day. I remember I had like a 2-week break from In the Groove or so. And I was playing Pump, and I went straight over to ICG, and my first song was 230 BPM, and it felt like nothing. Because you're conserving so much more on In the Groove versus your Pump It Up style, where you are going ham on that game. Even if you're doing singles, you have to do like literal 180 turns, and there's really not much room for conserving to some extent. I mean, there are charts where you can cheat, even high level, you kind of have to, and like conserve a lot, because there is less movement, I guess, on single, because the way the panels are set up, you can kind of just wiggle your feet around, similar to ITG. But there are charts where you have to cross over. Like, if you're going to cheat them, you better be really good, but most of the time you have to turn really hard. So yes, jumping into other games can help to some extent. For Pump to ITG, I would say it helps with just your speed, because you're moving so much more. It's crazy. We have a lot of comments coming in here.
Yeah, we do. Zachary asks, actually I saw this. He passed his first 14 yesterday, and he said that he did terrible, but I thought he did great. His first one was actually Dream a Dream, your chart set, the 14.
Oh, that's a really popular 14 for everybody.
It is.
Like a first
yeah,
pass.
That was one of my first also. And yeah, he did it, so hats off to him. And he's asking, should I continue to focus on 14s, or should I try to get better at 12s and 13s before visiting 14s? And my answer to that is I think that he should keep, Zach, I think you should keep a range in mind as you continue to play. And I think right now your range could definitely be 12s to 14s. So I would say do both. Play 12s that you most definitely pass with relative ease, but also every now and then move over to the 14s and try to get a little bit better at those. Try to get like your second 14 and then your third after that. And at that point, then you can start trying to focus on improving scores on 14s, like your first above 90 on a 14, and then try to get your first star. But don't just focus on the top of your level. I think there's a lot of value for you at this point to also work on 12s and 13s.
Alien Caton, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Penguin Squad, man. Yeah, I would agree with that. I wouldn't disagree with any of it at all. It's a balance. Don't focus on just one thing. Balance. So they're two separate goals. 12s and 13s, I would say start with 12s. I don't know where your skill level's at exactly, but the first thing I would tell you is start 99 in 12s. Is he in that range, or is that like way, way too far ahead for him right now?
No, that's not too far for him. If he can do 14s, he can definitely do some 12s that you could recommend.
Okay, so 99 12s. Well, does he have access to Best of Happy Feet up to date?
We're just playing at Sappy's house right now.
Okay.
And he hasn't added anything to his machine yet, so it's hard to say.
This is what I would say. You said that you know this person personally?
Yeah, I know
Zachary?
Zach. Yeah, got his first 14 last night.
Okay.
I was watching right there.
Maybe one of these days, whenever you're both available, you guys can come on over and we can play. I mean, this is a cool thing about, like I said earlier, like knowing people that are skilled in the game really helps, because if they're nice enough or able to do it, they are willing to do it, I should say, they're going to help you get better, a lot better. And you should take advantage of that. You should talk to them like you're talking to us right now and asking for advice. This is good. So I would say if you're ever available with Justin, or even if you just want to come over yourself, come over and I can give you a list. I did this with my roommate Matt. I did this with my wife Alex. I write a list of challenges to do. Like, I'll give you like a month or 2 months. I'll say, okay, you need to complete these goals in this list by September, and then I go from there. So
I would love one of those. I would love a set of challenges from you.
Oh,
Sometimes I feel kind of like lost on what I should be working on next.
Yeah, no, it's overwhelming. The game is, on our machine we have like nearly 6,000 songs. Some people have more. There's lots of content.
This game is deep.
Lots of comments here. Hold on, let's catch up here. Where are we at? I was on. You covered the 14 one. So should you continue on 14s or try to do 12s? We already answered that one. Lonely says, define terrible. Is the score bad or is it a good score but surviving is difficult?
I think that's in response to something that you said.
What part? What part did I say?
Or no, I think that's the response to Zachary also. Define terrible as in he said that he passed his first 14, but he did terrible. I thought he did great. He got a 77 on Dream a Dream.
I mean, a pass is a pass, and that mindset, you're not focusing on 99ing because you're not quite there yet. The first step is to pass something. Don't worry about your score. Well, yeah, you can say, oh, it sucks. Like, I understand. I'm not a fan of that either for my personal play style. I don't like getting low scores like that, but acknowledge that passing is the first step to quadding. You're not going to quad it on the first try if it's a high-level thing that's out of your comfort zone.
I agree. I think making incremental goals is very important and not just shooting for a quad on something that you might not even be able to pass. And that's an extreme example. But I think there's nothing terrible about passing your first 14. That's progress.
Not at
all. Definitely don't sell yourself short and call something like that horrible because that's impressive.
He's not super familiar with ITG in general. A remix of Dream of Dream. There's a 14. He had trouble with the streams because of how tired I was. Yeah, I would say, Zach, if you're ever able to come over sometime, we can schedule something with Justin or just you and me. If you want to come by, I can take a look at your play style and like see how your form is. I can see what you're struggling with and give you a list. And Justin's actually interested in that too. I'm more than happy to do that. Like usually, what I do is I mainly focus on my packs because I have such a wide variety. I've worked really hard at creating content. So, example being like my DJ Kudata pack. That's all really high-end difficult stuff, like 18s and up, right? Some stamina and also foot speed. That's my hardest pack up to date yet. Then I have Kobaryo. Kobaryo is there's some stamina in there and there's also a bit of foot speed. I would say it's lower than Gorshit. Gorshit's the next one. That's more stamina, less foot speed. So there's like a difficulty scale. I think it would go something like Best of Happy Feet being the easiest, I would say. Maybe with Pump It Up Groove as well. Those are pretty. I think Pump It Up Groove actually be the first. So Pump It Up Groove, Best of Happy Feet, Kobaryo, Gorshit, DJ Kudata, Lois Sal Gabbers is somewhere in there as well. But what I'm trying to say is that my packs have wide variety and cover FA, they cover stamina, they cover foot speed. And if you're looking for a certain goal, I can write up challenges for you in these packs and tell you, do this on this song, get this on that song, pass this song, 99 this song. And if you do it and complete it, you will see a lot of improvement. So I can do that for you. Where are we at right now? We'll go down here. Got CGM here. He says, apparently I missed the first hour because time zones. Got a question on my own. What's the highest tempo at which you can FFC a standard stream that lasts around 100 notes versus an
arbitrarily long stream?
That's a tongue twist word for me. Arbitrarily long stream. 100 notes.
For me, it's not very high. I would probably top out around 180 for something that I could FFC.
I'd say for me, if I'm playing ITG consistently, mind you, not in my current state. I've been taking breaks because of the heat, so I lost a little bit of skill. I would say 240.
Wow.
It used to be better. Back when I was younger.
That's still amazing.
It used to be better. Back then it was like 260. I could do it for a good while and be able to FFC. Like my FA on foot speed was much better when I was younger. I say that a lot. It's gone down. 240 is like my max of FFCing it right now.
Okay.
And I have to be playing consistently on ITG. Typically though, 100 notes, 230 right now. Maybe 220 if I'm doing it bad. Long streams, depends how long. But I've done long streams before with like, say 150 measures at 205, 160. And not FFC it, but FEC it. FFCing, that's a whole different beast, man. That's hard.
That's where FA comes into play.
That's where I say
One
FA.
of the Holy Trinity.
Yes, FA really helps with your stamina. I'm telling you. Think about it. What's harder to do? Pass an 18 or quad an 18? Which one takes more energy? It's pretty obvious. You know?
Quadding, of course.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can BS your way through an 18 and pass it, which is still impressive. I'm not trying to, bring down anyone's accomplishments, but it's always been a thing that's, like, for some reason been an argument between the community is, like, scoring doesn't matter or whatever. And it's like, it actually matters a lot because it takes a huge amount of energy to do it. You're putting more effort and timing than you are passing, That's why I challenge people to FA, because you will see improvement in stamina. Like, many times people are like, I want to get better stamina, and I'm just looking at them, grabbing them by the shoulders and shaking them, saying, you need to get FA. You will get better stamina with FA. All right, Cyborg, good night. I'm sure you're long gone by now. I took a while to caught up with that. And then Lonely says, if it's exhaustion, maybe longer 11s and 12s. I know I'm working on stamina by playing lower custom music trains on PIU. Yeah, like for ITG, like 130, 140 BPM songs that are like super lengthy. Got like a handful of streams. Very helpful. Like really, really helpful. One song that pops out to me is The Betrayer in my Best of Happy Feet pack.
I played that for the first time last night, by the way. That was an amazing chart.
Oh man, really? That screams it, dude. 140 BPM, 13, broken up 8s all across it. A big break in the middle, and then continues the runs. It's great practice.
I'd like to be able to quad that chart someday.
You can do it. It's doable. Let's see here. Racer says bye, Cyber. We got CJM back in here. He says
I like Cyber.
But Cyber's
good
funny.
Presence.
He's funny. I love that guy. I always try to speak Russian to him, just based off Zarya's voice lines in the game. That's all I know.
That's the extent of your Russian, what you've learned from Overwatch?
Yep, that's it. Same with some Arab and some other stuff. So CGM saying, building up on the previous question, how much would your peak FFC speed increase if it's a drill instead of a stream?
For me, it might. If anything, it might even go down. I think
goes down.
Drills are really difficult.
Drills are very hard. And now, if it's like a burst of like 8 notes, then maybe faster, I would say. Faster, probably. But if you're talking like 100 notes drills, yeah, it would go down. It would go down a lot. It's so uncomfortable, Justin. Like, what's weird is on Pump It Up, drills are easier. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but it's cakewalk.
On Pump It Up?
Yes. Like, I played B Mara, and that has like towers galore. Just drills, towers, same 2 arrows back and forth.
Ouch.
Piece of cake. Like, you don't get tired if you do them right. It's so weird. Right, so CJM saying, but you've quadded Euphoria, which is 280 BPM 16th notes. Those are 1, 2, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 note bursts. If you're talking about 5 note bursts, then yeah, I can do them pretty fast. But if you're talking about 100 note bursts, then yeah, that definitely kills it a lot. If you're talking about 5 note burst CJM, then I can probably do.
That's a good question.
I've done 240 24ths before, but I mean, it all comes down to how many notes are you talking about? Because you were saying 100 notes earlier, so I assume you were talking about 100 note tower drills. But if you're talking about like a 4 note burst or 5 note burst, then definitely faster, much faster than
240 24ths would be 360, wouldn't it?
I'm bad at math, but yeah, 240 times 1.5.
Good job, Seth.
Hooray! I'll see what he says though. I'm waiting for his response to see, because if you're talking about like 4 note burst, then I think it's pretty fast, dude. Like FFC 4 note burst, like I'm trying to think. 240s for sure, 260, yeah. Even like honestly, maybe 300. It's doable. I don't know. I've just never seen a chart that offers that though. It's very rare. Like I'm talking about just like one, not like repeated ones of just over and over again. So medium length drills are actually harder than medium length streams. Interesting. Didn't expect that. Yeah, if you're talking about 100 note drills, like
I definitely think so.
Yeah, they're much harder. Like ask anyone in the community. There's very few people who will say, "Oh, these are much easier to FFC than actual runs." It's weird, I know. You wouldn't think that because it's just 2 notes. but for some reason, I don't know the science behind it, it's just uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. It's the same reason that patterns that make you face one direction for a long time are uncomfortable versus going back and forth smoothly, you know what I mean? Sounds about right, because one would have to focus much harder on keeping track of the drills.
Yeah, that's always just been a huge challenge for me, just keeping track of drills while I'm standing in place.
That's true. That's definitely another factor that you have to take in. It's a lot harder to focus because you have to actually like really stare. It's really weird because you think, oh, there's more different notes coming up. You got to focus harder. It's like, no, just 2 notes is harder for some reason, fam. I don't know why, but
Unsolved mysteries.
yeah, very weird. It was a good question, though. I'm glad we got a lot of people chatting it up, too, asking questions.
I always like interacting with our viewers.
Also, streams, you can do right up. Let me visualize this. Right, up, down, left, up, down, right, up, down. Right, up, down. That's a...
Changing direction fastly,
yeah,
going left and right.
It's like a candle, almost. Right, up, down, left, up.
Yeah, it is a candle.
Right, up, down. Yeah, it's like you turn 3 times or 4 times.
Yeah, down, left, up. It's a candle.
Yeah, whenever you're going from up to down, that's what determines which way you're changing your pattern. Basically, stairs and altering patterns, I think. Yeah, I see it now. It definitely will affect it. That's another thing is, and I'm guilty of this too. Keep that in mind. Moving too much on candles. Again, there's a lot of rules in these rhythm games, right? But any rule can be broken if done correctly. So, the example being, I move a lot when I play Healing Division or Paranoid Revolution, right?
Yeah.
Moving a lot wastes a lot of energy. You don't want to do that. The strategy, though, is you want to minimize your movement when you can, and use your energy when you have to move in order to combo or PFC or FFC or whatever it is you're trying to do. So for DDR, you want to try to MFC. You're conserving on all the basic stuff all before that. There's some crossovers on the 18 beforehand. You hit that slowdown. You hit that one spot where you got to go ham, right? That's when you want to go in. Healing Division, it's all chill, right? It's a very easy 18 in my opinion. It's very, very mellow and tame, literally all the way up until the last 4 measures, 8 measures, whatever it is. And that's when you got to go in. Like, same thing with Pluto Relinquish Challenge. It's all easy up until the run at the end. Then you got to go in. You know, and then, I mean, obviously the higher you go, it's going to get harder. So, like, Egoism 440, for example, you got the run in the beginning. You got to go pretty hard on that part. Slow down, you got to focus pretty hard and make sure you're nailing those hits of 24th bursts and everything, all the weird rhythms. And then, obviously, the end. That's when you especially go ham. But you got to save energy and rebuild it in between all those sections. Don't go in all the way permanently, you know? Maintain it and use your energy when you need to.
That'll help me out a lot.
Let's see here. Yeah, you got to break it down, man. We got to break down the chart that you're approaching.
Continuous candles, aka dead end heavy, the experience.
Oh God.
What a chart.
Yeah, it's quite the experience, right? It's awful. Yeah, patterns are a huge factor in draining your energy, especially in ICG, because we, the users, decide what we're going to put in our charts. And me especially, I love candles in my charts. I put them if I feel like it's musically there, you know? Like if you hear like some crazy, like you know, like Renard when he, like on his Destination songs, how he does like a solo and it's just like this crazy sound. It's like all over the place.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Really?
Oh, my bad.
Oh man. Okay.
Can you play any of that for us?
I don't think you'd hear it. That's the problem.
Okay.
Well, I would say like, okay, you know Cabario, right? Are you familiar with Cabario? Do you know the song Game Over?
No, I don't know that one.
What's a song you know from him? Uh-oh, I put Justin on the spot.
Yeah, dude, you gotta put me on the spot just like this.
You're not familiar with any of like the actual song titles?
Just Game Over.
So you know Game Over?
Yeah.
Okay. There's certain parts in that song where, like, it has, like, that buzzing sound, like a speedcore buzz sound.
Yeah.
That's an example of, like, oh, okay, that has, like, a sound of, like, making your body want to pivot to that buzz sound, like, because it changes pitch in the song. I mean, other songs, too, that aren't just speedcore can do this. Like, if it hits, like, a high note, you can make your body turn to the high note or, like, emphasize that, That's how I step, personally. I mean, some other people will do that method, too, and others won't. Some people don't like doing that. It just depends. It ranges. But that's just an example of, like, when a candle is, like, a good reason to put one in on a step chart. Some people just put them in just to be mean because they want to make a song harder, and that's fine too. It just depends.
I think that's when I usually see them, is when there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to them.
Yeah, I know step artists. I can name a handful of step artists that do that because it's just their preference of, like, making the chart intentionally hard just because. Where are we at here on comments? Drills. Spyro's asking candles. And then we got CGM that answered him. I personally like to call candles vertical crossovers. That's interesting.
They kind of are.
Yeah, they are. Candles is a weird word. I don't know the lore behind that, but from
I always thought that it was because if you were to put a candle, like a lit candle, on the center panel, and you were to do a candle pattern, you would kick it over.
But why a candle?
I don't know. I've also heard cans used.
Yeah, why not can or candle or snack or water bottle or Mike
water
and
bottle.
I candy bar or I don't know. It's just weird. Why candle? It's interesting. I also like to call left down, left, right, down, right. Vertical turns. I see.
I didn't know what a box pattern was until earlier this week.
Is a box pattern when it's like 2 arrows and then another 2 and then another 2 and another 2?
Yeah, exactly. So something like left, up, left, right, up, right, down, right. Yeah, something like that.
Going all between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people hate those. Well, this was definitely a good episode, man. I think that we can wrap it up at this time. It's just hit 3:21. About the same length as the last time we did this. This is always a fun thing to do. This is our second episode, in case you guys were wondering. Our first one is on YouTube. That's the introduction one. We discussed actually quite a bit of things. But for today's episode, it was just all about ways of improving your skill. If you're hopping in here now and you're a little bit late to the party, I'm sorry. I wish you were here earlier. But don't worry if you're not. This will be put on YouTube. And it's every other Saturday we do these quadcasts. And I think from here on out, as far as I know, Justin's going to always be a part of this unless he's busy on that Saturday. And from that point,
I'm clearing my schedule for it. I intend to be here every week.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Having a lot of fun being here.
It's very fun. Before we go, though, we got one more comment here from CGM. It says, piece of trivia, in case you didn't know, Chris Chike and Little Matt have both managed to MA the 24th step jumps in over the period 960 steps per minute. So people can definitely manage very fast drills, possibly up to somewhere around 1,500 steps per minute. So you're saying...
That's a song I'd like to see you try someday. Though I know you're not much of a VR player.
Oh, the 24 step jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are easy. You're talking about in the slowdown in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the challenge, that's not bad. Like, it was actually funny. Yeah, before we wrap up, I'm gonna put my 2 cents on this. My friend Nelson told me, like, when I first saw Over the Period, I was watching it on computer. I was like, this isn't too bad. Like, in the sense of the sections there are. Like, I know all in all, it's a very hard chart, because if it was easy, I or Chris or Little Matt or any good DDR player would just jump right on it and MFC it or PFC it. No one has done that yet, as far as I know. So don't get me wrong, it's a hard chart. But theoretically, on the part you're mentioning, it's not that bad. But my friend was like, are you sure dude, that's really hard. Like 240 BPM 16ths going into a jump. And I'm like, dude, it's not bad. So I actually went to play it and did the same thing in front of him. I MFC'd it, that section. And he was just like, okay. It was really funny. Like, just seeing him be like, okay. It's like, it's not that bad. That part isn't that bad, honestly, because there's no crossovers. Like, the end is extremely hard, and even the intro, like, after the intro and it starts up and it does, like, the synthesizer part where it's making you like do these really awkward crossovers, like left up right or right up left, just over and over again. Those are just uncomfortable. My God. You were saying so people can definitely manage very fast drills. People can. I just think people don't put their mind to it and effort into it because they don't like it. They try to avoid it. But with DDR, you can't really work around it because what's there is there. But in ITG, we have the flexibility and freedom to do what we want, and that's why people choose to avoid those kind of things, which is unfortunate. That's the biggest downer about In the Groove, in my opinion. The flexibility people have is good. It's like a double-edged sword. It's good,
but there's no standardization.
There's no standardization, and it hinders people's skill. Because if you take a top In the Groove player and put them on DDR, most likely, most of them will have a hard time PFCing 18s. And if you give them egoism, they're not going to get close to PFCing it. Because it hinders their skill. Because they don't focus on those type of patterns or rhythms. Because they just focus on stamina, you know? It's the biggest problem with the game, in my opinion.
DDR is awesome. DDR is awesome. Says thank you guys for the advice. No problem, man. Thank you for tuning in, and definitely looking forward to seeing your improvements.
Of course, yeah, and definitely hit up Justin if you're interested in coming over sometime and playing. If you're not able to, don't even worry about it. I'll definitely get you and Justin some challenges set up for you guys through the packs that I've created. What else we got here? Thanks for answering my questions. Good luck on your future ITG pump. And Devers.
You know who that is?
I do not.
Neither do I.
Do you know? There's a couple of people in here I don't know, but I assume that you got them in here. Is it like R Racer and DDR is awesome?
Oh yeah, R Racer and DDR is awesome. Those are my two friends.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming in here, guys, and everyone that was in here chatting it up. That's why we're here. We're here to discuss things and answer questions. And if you guys want to ask us anything, feel free to do it. Remember to check out Discord, guys. We also have Twitter, but Discord especially, that you guys can talk to me whenever I'm offline. That's the biggest perk of it. And also, if you are a subscriber or if you're interested in becoming a subscriber to this Twitch channel, you have the ability to join a private Discord channel that actually me and Justin are in right now. And you would be able to chat with us live during our podcast and put in your 2 cents or just be here talking to us instead of just typing. So definitely check that stuff out. There's other perks that come along with it. We're working on emotes on the channel as well. Those should be here probably next week. My artist is working on them. So yeah, I stream again tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. I haven't checked the weathers. I assume it's going to be hot. So I don't think dancing games are going to be possible again, unfortunately. So we'll probably do something indoors. But yeah, that's it for today's stream, guys. Thanks so much for being here. And Justin, as always, thank you for contributing to this. It's always fun and a pleasure to speak with you on these kind of things.
Right back at you. It was a pleasure for me as well, and I look forward to being here in 2 weeks again.
All right, man. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys later. Thanks again. Take care.
Peace.